Welcome back, everybody, for another RDG review. I got David here with me. I'm very excited about this review because it's been so... We've been looking forward to it. We've been anticipating it since it actually started, and that's WandaVision. For those that have not seen the season finale or you're just not caught up, there's going to be spoilers. Going to be talking about the season finale that just came out. Which
Yes, and if you haven't seen it, please check it out. It's actually good television, even if you don't care for the MCU or whatever. So, to jump into the last episode, we see that Hayward had rebuilt Vision as a sort of husk of his former self. He is now like this white, senseless being with only a directive in mind, right? And that adds to this battle we have between Vision, Wanda's Vision, and the reanimated corpse of Vision. I thought the CGI was good for what it was. Obviously, we've seen better, but I'm not hating on it. I thought it was good because I was like trying to immerse myself into watching this because I'm already so invested in it. I was like, don't be a hater. Don't start nitpicking because I'm grateful that we got to this point in the MCU where we're getting like comic book level versions of these characters, where before it was like, oh, I'm going to do an interpretation of a modern take on a character, right? Because we've seen that happen many times with the X-Men, right? We've seen that happen, which obviously, we're going to get to see sometime soon. We've seen that happen with the Fantastic Four. But now everything just seems like it's all coming to fruition. And I hate comparing this to the Star Wars franchise. But, if they had taken the same approach, with Star Wars, I think we would have had some of the best, those action movie, like those nostalgia type of movies, right? Like where a story kind of that's been being told over years is kind of coming to fruition, right? Because the MCU has been 10 years, right, adding up to Endgame, and it was pulled off perfectly, like pop culture event of the decade, right? Thank God it happened before COVID or whatever. And we all got to see it in theaters, and it was just this great event. And I thought that's what this was going to be. I thought it was going to be this jumping off point for the next phase of Marvel movies. I was a little bit let down that it was more like it was less of a stepping stone and more of just a bridge, in my opinion. It was more of a bridge because, we're not getting the next movie until December. Spider-Man Far From Home, the third one. That one doesn't come out till December. So for me, it's just like more of a bridge, right? Rather than like, oh, this is the next thing in the series. What did you think about the beginning of the episode when they were, the little team up fight?
So the beginning, the fight between Vision and Vision, was actually, I actually really enjoyed, because the beginning of it was them obviously using their strength, right? Their physical abilities. So it was just, senseless throwing to the fucking ground, beams, fucking punches. So all that stuff is great. I love to see that, right?
Yeah.
But what makes Vision a very good character is also his reasoning, is his logic, his ability to be able to try to figure out. Because even before they crash into the library, even before that scene, he says, why are you doing this? Because he's trying not. He's not necessarily always just looking, not like Thor, where it's like, cut the head off and just like, let's just get this over with, let's just fight. He's more of like, let's figure it out, and see what if he needs to get down, he gets down. I mean, it's shown there. I mean, they throwing themselves doing the beams and fucking when he becomes like fucking not invisible, but like
Phases when he's able to phase through each other.
Yeah, just
They're
like grab.
That was
that
really
is
clever.
I thought that was really good. And then,
Yeah.
but what I really enjoyed was when they finally got into the library and he's like, like what's your essentially what's your
Purpose.
end game here? What are we doing? And he's like, well, to destroy the Vision. And then the fact that he thought like, well, I'm not the real Vision because I'm just essentially just her reality. Like you're the guy that has everything that the Vision has. So I thought at a certain point it was gonna be like self-destruct. Is like, well, if I had to destroy the Vision and I'm the Vision. Well,
oh, he tricks him.
That's where I thought he was going. But the fact that so I disagree with you in the fact that it's not a stepping stone. I think it is because you got to think they give us 3 different things to step off from, and one of them was Vision, because although the Vision that Wanda knew disappeared with her obviously getting rid of the hex, the Vision that they made come back to life, like they were able to put together, and the fact that Wanda's Vision was able to like kickstart those memories again.
I think what he did like a USB transfer.
I don't think I think
like
he did the same thing. Yeah. Like how Ultron did that to Jarvis, where he was like, give me a second, and then he just like integrated himself and like tried to figure out things and stuff like that. I think that's what he did. He went into the system that they had booted up, and then he was like, no, you still, all these memories that you have are in there. They're in the data locker. You have to open it up. So now we have and at the end of that scene, he flies off. He doesn't come back. We don't see him again.
Why does he fly off? Come back.
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I thought he was flying to go help Wanda. That's what I thought he left to. But no, this dude left. So we got to think there's going to be something. He's going to come back eventually. So there's a whole storyline there to follow. That's one of the things that they gave us.
Now that you mention it, it just kind of makes it's odd that he leaves when we see him realize like, oh, my programming is off. Yeah. But not to get too ahead of myself. I like that scene in the library, right?
Yeah.
To piggyback off what you said, I really when the White Vision shows up.
Yeah.
And he walks up to Wanda, puts his hands on her face like he's about to caress her, and he starts to squeeze.
Yeah.
She really sells that.
I didn't think he was going to squeeze. I really didn't. I thought he was going to slap the shit out of her. That's what I thought. Because I was like, he's going to hit her. Like, I was like, there's not going to be... This is not the Vision that you know. So I was waiting for him, for that Vision to turn on her. But I didn't think that, no, like, legitly, he... Gently too. It was just like you're holding a puppy. You're like, come here, and then just fucking just start squeezing. Yeah, I was like, oh, this just got real.
And for a moment,
I know. I was like, is she gonna do something about this, or who's gonna? Because she's about to die.
Yeah. Because I'm like, this man is made of vibranium. You know what I mean? Like if the dude can pick up Thor's hammer like nothing, and and she's just human with magic abilities. Oh, you gonna die.
And the little clever thing that he said, where he was like, Wanda, he says Wanda, and he's like, they told me you were powerful. And he's just holding her. I was like, oh, like he got sass too.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was like, damn, bro. And man, just, that scene also incredible. Like she really sold it. Like all the scenes with the magic, she's really, really into it. Yeah, you can tell she's having fun.
Very talented.
She's having real fun. We see that Vision and the Visions, right? They got down. I thought it was real cool. They did this little philosophy thing. It's like the theory of the Theseus ship. It's like, am I the same ship? If you replace all the
I enjoyed that, even though it went completely over my head. That's what I enjoy about Vision. It's just that he's going to try to figure out the best solution. It's not just like just punches, but it's going to be try to figure out what's going. And he's also such a nice guy in general, because he's when he
Paul
tries
Bettany
to look into his mind or whatever, like jumpstart
Yeah.
all those. He raises his hand and the
Yeah.
other guy just like kind of like backs off and he's like, "May I?" Like I was like, that's a real guy right there. You know, he has class. He's gonna ask first.
He's the type of dude, yeah, to ask before,
Yeah.
can I kiss you?
Get
You know?
consent first.
Can I-
That's his move.
Yes. Yeah,
And I
even
thought
if
it
it's
was really good.
somebody you don't like, you should always ask before. He then, we see this giant battle go on between Agnes and Wanda.
Yeah.
We see that she is like absorbing her energy, and Wanda looks like she's at the end of her rope.
So
right?
yeah,
they're
in the
getting down-
beginning,
it was real.
It was really
Uh-huh.
cool to see that, you know, that first blast that she throws, that Wanda throws,
Mhm.
and then Agatha just kind of just absorbs it, and then you
Takes
see
it, yeah.
you see Wanda's hand, and it's essentially like obviously dark and like shriveled.
Yeah, lacks like any kind of energy that was in there. It's
Yeah,
just gone.
it's just gone. Yeah.
Right. Which had already been set up, where we find out Agatha was stealing the powers of her coven.
Yeah.
Right, her mother and her sisters. That was cool. Yes, that we see that Wanda not right away is able to get down with her. But in my mind, I'm sure you as well were thinking, well, girl, you got down with Thanos. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you went toe to toe with a dude. Well, he didn't have all 5 in his hand. I'm sure if he did, it would have been a different story. Well, actually, we did see that because at the end of Infinity War, she didn't even attempt to attack Thanos. Well, she was like beaming him, right? She was beaming him while destroying the Mind Stone,
Yeah.
and he's just blocking it. You know, he's just going at it. So in my head, I'm like, okay, how are you gonna get down with another witch? You know, you don't have a lot of knowledge because Agnes is like, you know, you've never gotten down with a witch before, and you're clearly out of your element.
Yeah.
But then, oh my god, I love it. They get down, they're in the air, they're like doing this whole Dragon Ball Z energy blasting each other, like choo, choo, choo. It looked really cool. And then we see after Agnes is like continuing to taunt her, she's like, all right, well, you know, Scarlet Witch, she's like, all right, let me flex a little bit of my powers. You know, I've actually had these for a while. Let me show you what I got. You know, so she gets up, she does a little thing, right? This really cute like hand waves and stuff, and then she goes invisible. And I'm like, oof. I'm like, there you go, Wanda. Hit her with that Avengers level fucking powers. And, you know, and they're getting down, and we see her like throwing blasts, but she's missing deliberately
Oh,
because
okay. You
she's
jumped.
carving these runes out.
You jumped like.
Is that not,
way
is that
ahead.
not during
So
the fight?
it was because she does disappear, which I thought she was gonna do the Goku. You know, just teleport from one place to the other, and then just like I thought she was
Yeah.
gonna show up right behind her and give her a stiff elbow to the neck.
Yeah, hit her with a physical blow. Yeah.
But she didn't. Instead, it was a while till we saw her back again, because it
Oh,
a
right, 'cause
couple
she did the
minutes.
thing.
Yeah, then she went into her mind.
Because she went like this, and then
She
did do the
disappeared,
Goku thing,
and then
right?
it took a little bit. We go to something else. We go to like the kids
Vision.
dealing with the
Oh, yeah.
military, because I do like that they
Yeah.
did 3 different fights. They did Vision versus
Yeah.
Vision. The kids get to show
Yeah.
off some of their power
Kids.
and take care of the military, and then Wanda
Mm-hmm.
versus Agatha. So the kids, you know, disarm the military, and then we see Monica's like some of her abilities, because that dude, what's his name, the director,
Hayward.
tries to shoot the kids, which first of all, just in bad taste. Don't shoot kids.
You know what? That's funny. You're not the only person who said that, because I watched somebody else talk about it. Real quick on that, like, I assumed he was shooting them because he lets on more than he knows. Okay, no, wait. He's doing all of this to aggravate her, because he needs her to take the fall for everything that's gone on. She kind of does, but he's shooting at them because he knows that Wanda will retaliate, right?
I don't know if
That was my assumption.
I don't know if he does that. I think at this
'Cause
point he's done with, like, there's not more that she can do to, like, she's already in a bad light. So all he has to do is take her down. I think he doesn't care for either, like, he wants to see all of them destroyed. He doesn't care for the kids. Like, he's not going to bring the kids in. He's not going to bring
No, of
the
course
other
he
Vision
can't,
in.
'cause
He's not going to
yeah.
bring anybody in. He wants to destroy all of them and get rid of them.
Yeah. And that's when we see Monica run in.
Yeah, get in front.
To try and
I
save
thought
them.
it was going to be more of like the Superman. You know how Superman, when they shoot him with bullets, it doesn't get through his skin. It's just like, hits. They turn to this little, to pennies and then fucking hit the floor. That's what I thought it was. But it goes through her.
Mm-hmm.
And then slow down while they're going through her. And then by the time they leave her body, they just fall to the ground.
I missed that right away, but I read somewhere that she absorbed the kinetic
Essentially,
energy.
exactly. That's what she did. She took all the force that was behind a bullet and just made it.
I think I know why.
Out, just like nothing.
Yeah, I think it was because, she was wearing body armor in the beginning, and she makes the claim that her DNA kind of fused with that other stuff. It might be the case that, or maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but yeah, that's what happened, right? Because I didn't catch it at first. Right now that you explained it, I didn't realize the bullets stopped slowing. I mean, I didn't realize they slowed down as they entered her, and then they just fell. I thought they had gone through her and then just came out the other end and just kept going. But you're right that they did fall. I mean,
because they lost
she
all
absorbed
their
the energy.
all their power, all their energy by the time they got through her completely.
Mm-hmm. And then we see Tommy or Billy, I forget which is which now. He stops the bullets all Neo, like in the Matrix. It's pretty dope.
Some of this.
Yeah, and at this point I'm thinking to myself, I don't like to look at the timestamps. I'm like, okay, please don't end. Please don't end.
I know.
It was
really hard for me not to like click on my Xbox and be like, where are we at? I was like, no, just enjoy, let it run through. Because at this point, now we're where you're at. Now we're in her mind. Wanda does her especially essentially what she did to Tony Stark at Age of Ultron. Get into her mind, So he got into her mind, and then they went into they relived, essentially the beginning of episode 7, which was, or 8, which was Agatha at the stake, and all the witches around her.
I think it was episode 8. Yeah, the one right before.
Beginning of episode 8 that happened. So they're reliving that, where now everybody's like, although that was actually crazy because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like she's gonna beat her at what Wanda knows best, and that's getting into people's mind. But then all of the witches turn on her. Yeah,
we see that Agatha is like, yo. You thought, you thought. No, but then Wanda busted out. You thought.
You don't know who I am.
Yeah, you don't know who I kick it with.
Yeah,
it's so funny, dude. Like, cause because I'm you're a fan, and these are comic book movies, and you're not thinking to yourself like, oh, like, that's cheesy. Oh, that's stupid. To me, I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Like, oh yeah, like there you go. Like that's what I'm talking about. Because it's obvious that she's not gonna be overpowered. Because we know how strong she is, and it's just her kind of coming into her new form, right?
And that's what it is. And I think that's why this works so well. It's because it's not to show. If you kind of follow some of the, like, read some of the comics or kind of just look at her previous how they kind of depicted her a bit, we know she's strong, but this is more of a series for her to know actually how strong she is, because Agatha knows how strong she is, but
she knows.
But Wanda doesn't know that. Wanda is barely getting, because she doesn't have all the knowledge. She doesn't know, like, these powers were given to her from an experiment. She didn't grow up with them. She doesn't know exactly what she's doing with his powers. So
right, she doesn't realize it.
Correct.
I like that.
Yeah,
I really like that she was oblivious to her abilities, and like, it's people around her who are like filling her in,
because she didn't even know essentially what she is, which is the Scarlet Witch. She didn't know that.
She didn't realize like that her abilities, like the whole time she's thinking to herself like, oh, I got these because I got in touch with the Mind Stone, but she didn't even remember that until she revisited the memory with Agnes, which I thought was great. So then we see them get down, right? She's fighting her. Agnes is kind of doing the whole villain monologue thing, like, yeah, you've never gotten down with a witch. You don't know what you're doing. I'm gonna, you're trying to, control everybody, and you claim to not know what you're doing. Obviously, she's egging her on, and we see her trying to release her abilities, but in doing so, all of the people in the town that she was mind controlling, unintentionally, kept all the memories from what happened during that time. So they all hate her. They all think she's a villain. They all think she did it on purpose. Because we see a brief moment where her spell is released, and her emotions.
Sorry, guys, that we're jumping, because we are jumping around a lot, but these are actually important things. Because the scene that you're talking about, I think is very important. So sorry to cut you off.
Right, the one where the one where she we see the characters walk up to her, Agnes talking to them, and she's like, "Go ahead, release them."
Because essentially she's cutting those strings, the power that how Wanda is manipulating them or taking control over them.
Yeah. And for the brief moment, we see that these characters are like, "Okay, look, we'll do whatever you want, but just please, let us live. Let us do what we want. Let me kiss my children. Let me tell my husband that I'm still alive." And they all claim to say that, we all feel what you feel. We have your nightmares, right? We have your feelings. It just makes me think, when she was smashing Vision, did everybody else in the fucking... I'm sorry, it's something I had to think about. And not I had to, but I thought it was funny. So that happens.
But
and
what I think is important in that scene is the fact that she, obviously Wanda's not a bad person, so she wants to release all of them, and it's like, I'll let you guys go. But when she's doing that, and when she's kind of lifting the hex, her children and Vision start to go with it.
Yes,
that's what's important about it, because even Agatha tells her, you'll see why it's not that easy. And then, because I was like, I was like, why doesn't she just do it? I thought at first it was so that she was egging her on, so that, Wanda would kind of tire herself out, and then she comes in for the kill. But when we start to see her children go to her, and then, fall to the ground and start disintegrating it essentially, and so does Vision, and Vision's calling out to her and calling out to the boys. It's heartbreaking, because you see Wanda trying to do the right thing, but at the same time she doesn't want to let go of what she has. So that was that's the reason why, because I was just why is it so hard? You lose Vision, but what I didn't know was that the kids were also tied to that because she did make them up, essentially, the kids are also tied to that, and if you release the hex, then you have to let them go.
They're all part of this. They're all part of her chaos magic. She manifested them. Same thing with Vision, as she later explains. Now, from there, we see her make the decision. The
decision to have them stay. So then I want to go back, pick up where you kind of left off, which was they're fighting in the sky. It's essentially one of the last scenes, which is they're fighting. They're getting down, Agatha and Wanda up above, which is, first of all, a great looking scene, because they made it very dark. The clouds are around them. It's just very, it's just a very well done scene as far as graphics and stuff.
No, the CGI team pulled it off really well, the fight between them. I thought it was going to be a little more cheesy, but no, it was good. I was engaged. I was like, where is this going? How is it going to end? And we see that Wanda is smarter than she looks, because everything Agnes was talking to her about when she trapped her in her basement, she's like, oh, are you not aware of the runes that protect her house? They're like, look, these runes call back to that. It's like anybody who puts these up, the witch who's in between these runes has control over all the magic in the area. So all the time she was deliberately missing, she was actually carving runes into the walls of her hex, these giant runes, right? and Agnes is oblivious to it.
Which I was wondering
because-
what that was. Originally, I was way off, but I was thinking that because you can see it, like she was deliberately missing, so it wasn't like she
Yeah.
was tired. And I get it. I guess that's what Agatha thought, is that she's tired, so she's just lobbing fucking pitches out here and not hitting me every single time. But she would.
Yeah.
That was really smart, feeding her a couple and then throwing the rest out to make the runes. Which originally I thought she was doing that on purpose to feed the energy, which was maybe giving power to her kids since they were part of that energy.
Yeah, and
which I was wrong.
That right there, when they started to explain, how Wanda is sort of like not nobody. What I'm saying is like the show kind of starts to make her out like this anti-hero.
Yeah.
Right? Like she's not a hero in the sense that she saves people. But we've seen this a lot, right? Because was it Age of Ultron? Or
no, it was
the movie
War.
where she accidentally Civil War. Right. She accidentally she
doesn't do it on
murders.
purpose. It's she does it to protect she does it to protect the people she cares about. She ends up hurting other people.
Yeah, and it's good to show that she wasn't in control of her powers at the time.
Yeah,
so she wasn't able to like realize like, oh shit, which is crazy because she did murder people and she kind of got away with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Kinda. And to sort of wrap up the episode, as it goes on, oh my god, some of my favorite scene, right, as the fight resolves, we see her defeat Agnes, and she tells Agnes, look, I'm gonna, well, she defeats her by transforming into her Super Saiyan form, right? She goes Scarlet Witch and she hits the whole getup. Fucking looks fantastic.
Yes, I think
incredible
they did a very good
design,
job with the wardrobe.
Fire, like I was just like, wow, like I was blown away. We then see her walk up to Agnes and be like, look, you weak, all right? I got you under my thumb now. Like, I'm going to put you back where I found you, the nosy neighbor, right? And, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Agnes is not an idiot. I think she's playing into it. I don't know if Wanda totally got her. I think Agnes is smart enough to kind of put a backup plan. Like, maybe she's under her control, but not really.
Yeah, I don't think this is the last that we'll see of Agatha.
Agnes.
No, yeah, she'll be back.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's and then they walk off as a family, Vision and the two kids, Tommy and Billy. They get to the house, and we know what's coming next. Yeah. She's getting ready to say goodbye to her kids, and you can see like as they sit down and they're talking to them, they're looking at their kids, and it's like, it's kind of like, oh, we'll see you in the morning, and that was really good. Like, just the way she just gets up from the bed and she walks away from them, and she doesn't say anything. She doesn't say anything. She just walks away, and we see the red hex. She's closing in on the town. Yeah. She's restoring everything to what it was. And for me, this scene right here where she's talking to Vision, it just makes me feel for Wanda, because she's been through so much that this is not the first time she's said goodbye. And I actually tweeted this out last night, because as her and Vision are standing in the living room and Vision is talking to her and he's like, what am I? Right? And she says, you are a piece of the Mind Stone that lives inside of me. You are a being made of flesh and blood and mechanical wires and all this and that. I'm like, damn. And then and then the hex is just getting closer and closer, and then he says, this is not the first time we've said goodbye. And then he says, so it stands to reason. And then she says, we'll say hello again. And then I'm like, oof. And then as the camera pans around and she's holding him in his hands, and he says, "Goodbye, darling." I thought that was just beautiful, because Wanda, she pulls the hex down, and everything, and she just she's alone. She's alone, and that really, like, I don't know, like, because it just made me really sad that she's like had to give up her beloved again, and her and her, essentially, of her family. I mean, it was made up, but I thought it was really touching, that moment where they're saying goodbye to each other. That for me was just the best part of the episode. I know the fighting was good, but scene.
That's what that really tied it together. And it is sad. That's a tearjerker there. When that scene came on, because I know what you're talking about. And beyond that, she says, "You're my sadness, you're my love," and I was just like,
"Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that."
Well, why don't you just slap me in the fucking face?
I know, just fucking kill
might
me.
as well, yeah.
Oh god.
And it was so, but it's so good because she was kind of, you saw a little bit of her like be at peace with it, which was this whole series kind of went after, was like her she had to go through all this to kind of get a little bit of peace in her mind, and it's crazy because you kind of think, so now we're past that, and obviously the other two things that I said that this kind of sets up is, one, when they're in Agatha's mind, and the witches are all there and stuff like that, it's mentioned that she's supposed to be stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme, who happens to be Doctor Strange, right? So that sets them up. That sets those two up, because if anybody knows how to knows the knowledge, knows where to go to get the knowledge, and kind of teach her to go into or like get her powers kind of in check, and for her to use them to the best of their ability, it's going to be him. Yeah,
correct, because he is the master of the mystic arts, as they call it, as they dub him, aka Wizard 101, aka Mr. Stephen Strange, aka
Voldemort.
That man,
that is definitely gonna set up.
Back.
That's a setup right there.
Yeah. So that's the setup. We then right there as she flies off, right?
Yeah,
after she like says goodbye to the FBI. And
that's where agents. I thought she was going. To be honest, that's where I thought she was going. I was like, she's gonna go see Doctor Strange right now. She's gonna have to. I was like, who else is gonna go and teach her about? And it's not like
the reverse. I thought he was gonna show up, and they did fucking.
I did think that he was gonna show up too.
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I mean, that's what disappointed me, because my expectations were like, give me Doctor Strange, give me 30 seconds of him doing the thing, and then he walks in, and then he,
You know what though? I don't think they've ever officially met.
That's the thing. I was about to say, I don't think they've ever met.
I'm going through the Mind Palace right now, and I do not think
the Mind Palace. That's a good one. That's a good reference.
That they've ever met, because obviously Infinity Wars, they both fought in different
areas
points
of the battlefield.
Yeah, and then they both were blipped, so they both snapped away. So they didn't come back until Endgame, until the actual fight scene, but they really didn't like fight together or anything.
Yeah, it's true. They were at the funeral, but
they were at the funeral. That's as close as, but we'd never seen them talk. We never seen them like introduced.
You know what's funny? That makes sense. Who she did talk? It was Barton, Hawkeye. Yeah, she was talking to him at the end. Well, because he had just lost his best friend, Scarlet Witch. Yeah,
and they knew each other. I mean, Hawkeye was the guy that got her into like. You're gonna fight or you're not. Like either go home or you're here.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, that was pretty badass. Yeah. Damn. Way to tie it all together. Fuck.
So the last thing that they set up as well is Monica, because the scroll shows up. So there's two end credit scenes, which is Nick Fury essentially calling for her. Because now
that's who we assume it is. Yeah.
Well, he's now too fucking good apparently to come off the spaceship and come down.
I know,
to Earth,
what a
where
fucking
he's lived
bum.
for the for eternity. So it's like, okay. So now they're gonna set that up,
Yeah.
that's gonna be something that needs to be set up, anyways. Because in Far From Home, they set the scrolls up anyways.
Hmm.
Because that's one of the end credit scenes is where Nick Fury is up there looking at the beach. That was like a hologram or whatever. And
Yeah, I
he's on
wish we
the
had seen after the blip where he was at. Okay, he was in the street, and I can just imagine
after the blip. I don't know where. Yeah, exactly.
you
What
imagine?
happened to him?
like he's just standing in the middle of the street, and the car is just driving, and he just manifests and just bah, fuck. But yeah, so yeah, we see that the end credit scene. I almost turned it off because I was like, "This
You
can't
got.
be
I was
it.
like, no, they're not gonna
This
leave
can't-
me here.
Yeah,
So I
I
had
was
to.
like, there's
I had
still
to look
20
for
minutes
it.
left. Fucking fast forward, hurry up.
And then
So that was one of the first credit scenes.
Yeah, the last
Yeah.
one was Wanda being
Wanda
alone, essentially
Being
in the
alone,
cabin.
and what we think is Sokovia, right? So she goes out there, finds a little cabin, and I love the long zoom into her place. We see her on the porch. She gets up to get some to take the kettle off the stove, and the camera works its way into the bedroom, and we see her in what we know to be her astral form. Because when Doctor Strange was studying, he'd be asleep, and then
Yep,
his
exactly.
spirit form would be up, reading and training all night. So we get a glimpse of her children screaming out for help, which says that they still exist in a reality not our own, or whatever they are. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
studying
just
what
wrap my
seems to
yeah.
be the Book of the Damned.
That's what Agnes told her. Yeah, that
Yeah.
she's like what they call a being that exists in all realities as the same person. So if we went to the Fox universe and we met Scarlet Witch, it would be Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda Maximoff. And then the same person would be the one we just saw in WandaVision. So she exists all across as the same person. To sort of wrap it up for me, my final thoughts were for the final episode, it was good. Obviously, as a fan, I thought there was going to be more. I thought we were getting a Doctor Strange cameo, a Magneto cameo, something where you were like, damn, right? For me, it was more like, ooh, like I'm kind of excited to see what happens next. I got to give it a 9 out of 10. There was many parts of the movie, parts of the episode I loved. I loved the fight. I loved the whole thing happening with Agnes and Wanda, and then come to find out that she's the most powerful being, or more powerful than Doctor Strange, and he being who we thought is able to like hold his own against Thanos with with 4 of the 5 Infinity Stones. No, he had 3, right?
No,
it was 5 in total.
He had he had all.
He had the space, the
he had all of them except one. He didn't have the Mind Stone.
or the time at the time when he got down with Strange. He had to rip it off him still. Remember?
What are you talking about?
The time stone, the green one? He was
He
fighting
already
Doctor Strange.
He was.
without
Who
it.
are you saying? When he was fighting Wanda, or when he was fighting Doctor Strange?
When he was fighting Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
He
he
didn't-
only had he
3.
had the space, the reality, the Power Stone, and
space.
the Soul Stone.
Oh yeah, the Soul Stone. Right, I forgot about that one. Huh. Okay.
Because
So
it's 6 Infinity Stones. So he had 4 out of the 6. When he was fighting Doctor Strange, when he got to Wanda, he had 5. He just needed the Mind Stone.
Correct.
For the season finale, that episode, for me, it's going to be a 10 because the fact that they set things up. I can see now what's kind of coming up next, or at least anticipating some of the stuff that might be coming next. And I think it's very important because that's what I expect from this series, and hopefully also Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is that they set up more stuff to come from this upcoming phase and what we can expect. So I think this really did set up, like I said, 3 different kind of storylines that we can see. The series itself I thought was fantastic. I thought in the beginning of before the series started, I didn't take Wanda's or Vision's characters as serious as I did, like Tony Stark or Captain America, Thor, because we already got backstories on them. We got their origin. We got a lot of screen time and a lot of character development. When Wanda and Vision, we really didn't. And I think this series really provided that, the bond that they had. Also, how strong Wanda really is and how complex Vision's character is.
Oh, yes. The whole, like, artificial intelligent being self-aware, right? Just,
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the MCU and
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
to come.
If you guys enjoyed us kind of we got really into depth into both this season finale because we were both excited about it. Also, we have another video, or kind of our part 1, which is from episode 1 through 8. Would we say we kind of go into the episodes a little bit and also like give our ratings and our thoughts about them and how they set each episode up, working itself up to the series finale, which is obviously what we talked about here. But if you guys enjoyed that, then give us a like. Also tell us that, so that because we're also thinking about doing episode by episode kind of our thoughts and our review on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is supposed to be the next series starting here. I believe it's March 18th when it's set to premiere. So
correct. So we've got a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Because Disney knows how to keep us subscribed. I, got to say, like, the bar has been set, right? The bar has been set for these Disney Plus shows. WandaVision set the bar, I got to say, fairly high for this sort of almost movie level budgets of episodes.
Correct. And that's what I love about them. And I think it's very exciting to see them roll, especially, again, we haven't got a lot due to the pandemic that's going on and us not being able to go to theaters the way we used to. A lot of things have been delayed. So we've been waiting and begging for Disney to give us some shit. And finally, they kind of have, and they're lining up other stuff too. But I mean, you're right. We don't get to see like the next really big Marvel movie other than whenever they want to release Black Widow. It's not until Spider-Man,
right.
which is at the end of the
movie.
Yeah, because been delayed so long, and we're waiting.
I don't even care anymore.
But we'll be on the lookout for that. Also, subscribe because we got more content coming up. We got the RDD show every Monday. We also got Thinking Out Loud with David and Nick every Wednesday. And we stream. We're going to be streaming. Right now we have Destiny, Call of Duty, but we'll also be like streaming Injustice, which I'm kind of excited about. Talking about superheroes.
We'll be getting into it. Yeah. It's about to kick some ass. Yeah, because it's all about the superheroes. DC knows how to make a good fighting game. Marvel has
all good movies and shows. So
yeah, they got one thing versus the other because there are no good Marvel games. But yeah, so this was great. I'm having a lot of fun reviewing this stuff. We really, get into it, and we really hope you guys get into it with us because it's just fun for us to talk about. All right. So let's wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.